On this special industrial coffee and cleaners, let's talk about 132 unusual uses for Spencer Vacuum. Almonds to zinc. And this publication by Spencer Turbine is from the late 1940s, and it talks about all kinds of industrial applications for Spencer Vacuum products. And they're arranged alphabetically, as you see. Some of the entries are the thing that you're sucking up. Other entries talk about the application more generally, but starting with A, we have adhesive tape. Airplanes, cool little artwork of a steward vacuuming the plane interior with obviously a Spencer hose and upholstery tool. Almonds, ammonia beryllium fluoride. Ash pits, auto laundries, as they would have called car washes, I guess, at that point. And you can see the Spencer turbine separator, and then you have a pipeline that's going to run overhead so that the hoses drop down between cars. Awnings, and this is a cool shot again of the Spencer wall-mounted separator and turbine vacuuming off awnings. Bakeries, now they should have a built-in. They should have a central system and not that portable. Bats, sea vermin. Bauxite and lamp black. Belts. Bench cleaning with workers using a hand valve that I imagine worked kind of like an ice cream scoop. And when they needed the system would just be running, and when they needed to suck something up, they would just squeeze that and point the hose in there and they'd take care of it. Blending and sorting. And they're talking about plastic pellets here, separated by conveyed by vacuum to the roof 35 feet above. This Spencer unit has run day and night for years without stopping. See front cover illustration. So the blending and sorting, that is this on the roof of a factory, and you can see the turbine there. And this is a separator, and that's a separator, and so the material picked up goes right back down into the building, but all the apparatus is out of the way on the roof. Maybe I should put a vacuum on my roof. That would trigger a letter from the HOA, I have no doubt. Bloodsuckers. Now here's another choice. I mean, I could see this being under H for hospitals, S for surgeries, O for operating rooms. Nope, bloodsuckers. Boats, boiler tubes. Now this use of Spencer Vacuum does go way back also, because even in the 1910s, Spencer advertised that you could help pay for your system that was used all over the building in just the savings in coal from cleaning your boiler tubes. And at this time would have been kind of right at the tail end of when you were using coal to heat with. And most likely by this point, many places would have been converted to oil or gas, but they were still advertising it. And at this point also, Spencer had figured out that you do need a special separator, which you see on the tripod legs here, because sending all that coal dust through the regular separator and through the turbine would have made your roof exhaust look very much like a smokestack on a locomotive. Bone ash, bottle filling, brass molds, briquette plant, buses. Now here's this worker vacuuming. Probably, I don't know if I would have wasted my time vacuuming the vinyl seat backs of a public bus. I mean, I could see using the system to clean the floors and get the corners and stuff, but I feel like this is probably just being done for the photograph. Now smile for the camera. Carbon monoxide gas. So here we see a vehicle exhaust system with inlets in the floor and short hoses hooked onto the tailpipes of cars. Card stripping. No idea. Catalyst. Reactor tubes are drilled out from the bottom. Okay, is this nuclear power reactor tubes? Ceramic plants. Chemical powder. Chests. Cleaning before shipping. So rather than furniture, Once again, they needed some more under C, so they put that under chess. Chicken hatcheries. Now I think this is a cool shot because it shows that pipe coming down on the side of the column with an inlet valve and a hose connected. But how nasty would that system get after a while being used in a chicken hatchery? Cocoa shells, chucks, and there's Chuck, I guess. Contract cleaning, conveying, copper roasters, deflating bags. Vacuum producers used to exhaust air from bags containing dynamotors. Okay. Diesel engines, dryers, dry mop cleaner. So they're touching on the other dispenser innovation called the vacuum slot, which actually you'll see a glimpse of as I finish this this part, this A to Z. Electrical equipment. Let's hope he's not using a metal crevice tool in this picture. Operator shown with insulated vacuum tool. Okay, okay, good. Enamel plants, engines, explosive dusts. And even today, Spencer will build you a system to vacuum up things that could explode in certain quantities. And one of the ways they mitigate that hazard is they will build the separator with an internal fire sprinkler and also with an explosion relief port that connects straight out the side of the building, so that if there's an explosion, it's just vented and the whole separator doesn't blow up. And they also have explosion-proof motors and static-proof vacuum hose. In fact, just about all Spencer vacuum hoses are static conducting. And of course, because they're plugged into metal inlets and a metal pipe system, you don't get that static buildup. And I'm sure you've all experienced vacuuming in dry weather and getting little shocks from the handle of your vacuum. And this can actually be much more than an annoyance in an industrial setting. It can be a real hazard. Filters. Fish hatcheries. Food in a large tea plant, according to this. Foundries. Fractionating towers. Okay, this has to be again for the steel industry. I have no idea what a fractionating tower is, but I want one. Look at that. That's cool. They got the turbine and two big separators. Freight cars. Emptying the contents of bulk freight cars using vacuum. Fruit juice. Hand-operated vacuum pipes pick out bits of seed or other extraneous material from fruit before canning as it flows slowly over a glass panel illuminated underneath by fluorescent lamps. So imagine, I guess you've got this big conveyor belt on a lit table, and this fruit juice is flowing over, and when you see something in there, you take the vacuum hose and go, and then it moves on. And again, how disgusting would that? Well, you'd have to clean it all the time, like everything in the food industry. It would all be, the whole piping would have to be able to be taken apart and sterilized frequently. Fuel tanks, fumes, chemical, and this is interesting. So you've got a Spencer vacuum producer, pretty small one judging by the motor, and a separator that looks like a pressure cooker with all these bolts on top. And it says, this is removing the excess alcohol fumes from a batch of face cream lotion. Fumes, toxic. Fumes, welding. Furs. Furnace cleaning. So you know, like the duct cleaning truck that pulls up to your house and they run the big hoses in? Well, I guess this is kind of like that. Or maybe this is like portable boiler tube cleaning rather than having a Spencer system in your building. If you're in your house, want your boiler cleaned, instead of Steve Lav coming in with his shop vac, you could get Steve on the truck. Yeah, Steve Lav needs this on his ice cream truck. And this would be a belt-driven gasoline engine-powered Spencer turbine with a tubular bag separator and then a cyclonic pre-separator. And this would drive around and clean out people's boilers. furnaces, glass, furnaces, heat treating, furnace manufacturing, furniture, gas mains. Okay, this is weird. So this municipality had a problem with people complaining of low natural gas volume due to their gas lines being just full of crud, as metal pipes start to do after a while. And the solution was this little Spencer turbine, evidently just a turbine and no separator, was brought into your basement, and your gas meter was removed. This turbine was connected onto the gas line that went out to the street. And then this guy with an electrician's fish tape is dislodging all the schmutz on the inside of this gas line for it to be sucked right through the impellers and blown outside the house. Crazy. Gold. So here's one. This is advertising how you can separate, because you have this central vac system with a T fitting and an inlet valve. And when you're sucking up valuable gold dust, you want it caught here when you empty it, when you can empty it right in situ, rather than that gold dust being sucked down to the basement separator where Jimmy the maintenance man is waiting to fish it out of there. Grain elevators, grinding mills, hats. So this is when people wore hats and therefore other people made hats, and this was a vacuum-powered hat block with vacuum pipe and little foot pedals. Hornets. Spencer Vacuum has been used to remove hornets, bats, mice, moths, beetles, and various types of insects from factories, offices, and homes, including mine. You ever try and suck a fly out of midair? I've gotten pretty good at that. Hot materials. Insects. See vermin. I showed this to Evan, and he said, land, see snatch. That's a reference I didn't get because I live under a rock with my sweepers. Instruments. And then this guy's using it to vacuum out what looks like the inside of Wurlitzer jukeboxes. Pretty cool. Jute mill. Kilns, brick. Lime dust. Liner cloth. Linton flock. Liquids. And this makes mention of the Spencer sump vac, which you'll see further in here. There is some duplication going on here. They fluffed this up a little bit. Machine design. Here is an automatic machine that makes typewriter brushes. I'm sure they're doing a hefty business today. Machinery. Magnesium. And of course, magnesium being flammable, this is different than just vacuuming up generic dust. It says, if necessary, the Spencer system can be arranged so the materials are immediately deposited under wetting medium. I guess they mean something besides water, because otherwise they would just say that, right? Mercury. They make no mention of Ford or Lincoln, but whatever. Mildew. Milling machines. Painting. Paint coloring. Paper. 140 horse stationary vacuum cleans complete plant, making sensitive paper for rectograph machines. Whatever those are. Maybe that maps out the data from colonoscopies. Rectograph machine. And this is interesting also to notice, like, sort of the more the more casual attitude at this point about like toxic things. Spillage of mercury in instrument plants is annoying, and the fumes are dangerous. And nowadays, mercury is regarded as somewhat more than just annoying. But this was the 50s after all. Patches, peanuts, pellets, pits, plastic flashing, powdered milk, printing frames, photographic plates or vacuum camera backs for holding paper sheets flat while being rephotographed for enlargements or other purposes are equipped with Spencer vacuum producers. Okay, so I guess this is holding the plate the paper sheet. It's the vacuum is making it cling. This isn't just... A lot of these are just sucking up some kind of dirt, but that's one of those that means something else. Punchings. The modern calculating machine punches millions of holes in papers and cards at an amazing speed. So, another relic of the pre-computer world here. I don't imagine Spencer is selling very many machines for collecting punchings from modern calculating machines these days. Quartz, radio loudspeakers, recording discs. So when records are cut, the stuff that comes off of them is being picked up by these little, looks like about half-inch tubes connected to a Spencer vacuum. Research, respirators, rice. At the rate of 20 tons per hour and a 75 horsepower vacuum producer. Rock drills. So here's this guy outside and drilling holes in the rocks, just for fun, I'm sure. And rather than that dust going all over the place and screwing up the drill and screwing up his lungs, which in those days that would have been in that order, that they considered those two issues, Spencer made the drill vac, which was this shoe that went over the hole that you're drilling and the drill bit went through it. And so as you're drilling, this Spencer machine, which would have been, again, engine driven because they're out in the middle of nowhere, would have sucked the dust away as you drilled. And you can see here, you have that sugar scoop profile. So this is a belt-driven Spencer turbine exhauster. And you have the tubular bag separator with the two big doors. And then over here, it looks like you have two other separators. So maybe one for each guy drilling. Rubber plants, sandblasting, sander, seed and spice plants, silica plants, slot cleaning, solder, or solder, as it's, I think, properly known, but I'm from Chicago, so I barely speak English. This would have been when automobile bodies were soldered with lead solder, and it says, lead poisoning is a hazard if the solder is allowed to accumulate on the floor. At least they don't say it's just annoying, like the mercury. Spraying. Any Spencer portable vacuum machine can be used in reverse by shifting the vacuum hose. This illustration shows a seed manufacturer spraying with a 1.5 horsepower Spencer to eliminate vermin. At this was of a day and age when basically every portable canister vacuum cleaner and some uprights came with a sprayer, or there was one available. So like showing that the vacuum could be used to spray things was a much bigger deal. I can't think of the last time I wanted to spray something and said, well, let me get the vacuum out. I don't know. This seems to have died out. But yeah, like Electrolux and Rainbow and Filter Queen and Hoover, they all had these little sprayers. Sump tanks, swimming pools, and sump tanks, that's the Spencer Sump Vac. So you can see a little universal motor with a small turbine mounted vertically on this big tank that was pivoted with a center big wheel, kind of like the lumber cart at Home Depot. And this would vacuum out the coolant sumps from machinery, like lathes and mills and stuff, when that coolant would get full of chips and garbage. And this says a filter basket collects chips and heavy sludge. And this, it says, its contents can be emptied by gravity or elevated 6 feet by air pressure in 2 minutes. So somehow this could be arranged so that the vacuum would empty the tank and blow the coolant back out after it was filtered. Swimming pools. An adaptation of the Spencer floor tool on a long handle is connected by flexible hose to a centrifugal water pump. All debris is removed from the bottom of the pool without lowering the water level appreciably. And this is from a day when, like, vacuuming the pool was not just a thing that everybody knew how to do. This was right at the tail end of, if you had a swimming pool, you had to drain it, clean it, and refill it all the time until somebody, I think TUEC figured this out first. TUEC used to advertise their swimming pool equipment, which was basically just a vacuum hose and a floor tool. And instead of their vacuum cleaner, you would just hook it up to the pool pump, the filter intake. Tanks, you're quite welcome. Testing, textile industry, tin plate cleaning, tumbling jacks, whatever that is, tracks and switches, unit heaters, ventilating ducts, vermin, which I think we did this under Hornets, watches, weevil control, welding flux, wet cloth, woodworking, and zinc. And at the end of this collection of creative applications, they're directing you to request specific literature for your application. Some of these I have, some of these I would absolutely love to find, such as a guide to easier cleaning or vacuum for industry. Now, VacuSlot system, we're gonna end this because it's already been over 20 minutes, but the VacuSlot system is a cool thing that Spencer did in the 1950s when they realized that people were just dust mopping. They were no longer vacuuming the hard floors in their schools and hospitals, so this was Spencer's way of adapting to that. And sadly, the VacuSlot is no longer made, so that was not something that was an enduring thing, but it existed for several decades. I have come across a total of 1 building with a VacuSlot system, and I didn't take a darn video of it. Such regret. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this look at how to use your Spencer vacuum from A to Z. As always, happy vacuuming.